Hi, I'm Fred Cuellar, and I'm author of The Buffer Zone Diet. On January 30th, 2017, the American Heart Association reversed their 40-year position that calories in and calories out were the reason why people got obese. It was difficult. Think about it. For 40 years, if you were overweight, the message was clear. You clearly were eating too much and apparently not exercising enough. It was your responsibility. So how did it feel to count calories, to exercise, and the weight not come out? It turns out it's trickier than that. It turns out there's a formula that regulates weight for the human body. And that's what the buffer zone diet is all about. It's about the concept and idea that the timing and the frequency of your meals is as important as the meals themselves. It's not just what you eat, it's when you eat it. Think of this analogy. Imagine you have a car, you drive home, and you bring it home. Do you turn the car off? Of course you do. You're not going to leave the car running. But yet, that's not how our body works. When we come home at night, our bodies never shut off. It's like a car that arrives home and stays on idle. Now, imagine for a second, two cars. One car that's idling at home, not going anywhere all night long, and another car driving around at 60 miles an hour. Well, the car that's driving around, that's moving, that's using up fuel, is burning 4 to 15 times more energy than the one that sits idle. And yet, what does a typical American do? They wake up in the morning, they go, breakfast is not important, and they skip it. Then lunch is on the run. They don't think about what they're going to eat. Then they get to the end of the day and they're like, God, I've eaten next to nothing. I need to have a big meal. So they have a big full tank meal a few hours before they go to bed, and then they go into a food coma. We're living our lives backwards. Like I said, the timing and the frequency of your meals matter. What you eat is as important as when you eat it. Both components are there. And finally, all the different organizations are coming on board and saying the exact same message. That's what the book, The Buffer Zone, is about. It's about the idea that we don't have to give up the foods we love. If you like cookies, you can have cookies. If you like lasagna, my wife makes great lasagna, New York style hot dogs. You can have all of these wonderful things. The reality is that we should be fueling our bodies to go and not fueling it when we rest. And so this idea that I'm starving, I'm hungry, there's emotional eating, there's real hunger. Most people don't know the difference between the two. I bet you, if I ask the audience right now, what were the two fuel tanks that were on your body? What is the one fuel tank that your body uses to operate every single second while you're awake? And what is the backup fuel tank that's designed to run your body when you're asleep? Most people don't know. Most people think their stomach is a fuel tank. It's not. It's a processing center. Its job is to make food logs chime that goes into the small intestine so that you can have the energy distributed through your body. It takes 5 hours max to process food, 3 hours in the small intestine. The typical body needs 75 to 100 calories an hour. So this idea of running your body on empty all day long and then fueling it to sleep makes absolutely no sense. And so that's what the buffer zone does. It's the idea that since our bodies are a LIFO system, last in, first out, always wants to use the fuel that's readily available, that's in the distribution line, then let's put food in our bodies while we're awake, and then let's cut off the food at the proper time so we give our bodies time to use fat fuel when we go to sleep. Fuel to go, rest, work on fat fuel that can burn in our bodies. It's crazy, but for years experts have literally been saying that your body will not burn fat until all your glycogen stores are exhausted. Runners have said, well, I run a marathon. Until my glycogen all my carbs are out of my body, then and only then will I burn fat. It's called bonking at the 21 mile. Other experts have said, like Atkins, for example, have said, well, geez, we'll just starve the body of carbs and then force it to burn fat. Well, our bodies need carbs. What I was able to figure out, the formula that regulates weight for the human body, what I was able to figure out was that if you put enough time, buffer zones, between breakfast and lunch, between lunch and dinner, between dinner and breakfast the next day, your body would do what it's designed to do, which is burn food, calories that you eat during the day, and burn fat fuel, excess calories when you sleep at night. People ask me all the time, what's a diamond guy writing a book on diet? Why did you do this? It's a great question. The reality is, in my 30s, most people aren't aware of it. Being a workaholic, slowly gaining more and more weight, I had a stroke. Right hemisphere stroke, paralyzed on the left side of my body. I was lucky to have my life. After I survived that, 6 months of rehab, the doctor said I had to make some major changes in my life. And so one of those was, all right, I better go on a diet. And I went on an old school diet where I starved myself with little tiny meals. I counted every calorie. It was horrible. It was the worst thing I ever went through. But I lost the weight. And I kept it off for over 10 years. And then slowly but surely the weight creeped back. And then a few years ago, it was all back and more. And I didn't like the idea of having to go back on that diet. And I did, and I tried, but it wasn't working. The weight wouldn't come off no matter what I tried to do. I was 40 pounds overweight. I knew I needed to do something different. I couldn't understand why my body survived the first time I went on a diet and didn't survive now. And when I reached out to experts, they said to me, Fred, you got to understand that sometimes your body will fight against you. There is something that we believe exists called weight-resistant syndrome. This idea that after you've had one major successful diet in your life, that your body won't allow you to go on another one. And so that when your body senses you're trying to restrict your calories, it actually releases cortisol into your system, and that affects the bioavailability, the nutrients that you're trying to absorb. That's why you're not losing the weight. And I'm like, what? What am I supposed to do? They said, well, just hang in there. I hung in there. I did everything that everybody told me to do. So no, first and foremost, the discovery of the buffer zone diet, discovery of the formula that regulates weight for the human body, all came about when it hit me. Wait a second. The body is nothing more than an assembly line. It's going to do what it's designed to do. If it eats too frequently, it's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do, and that is store fat. Well, if too frequent of meals was making us store fat, then that meant the space between the meals, the buffer zone, that had to be the key to weight loss. If I could place the proper space between the meals, then I would no longer have to worry about weight. And that's exactly what I did. And that's how I lost 40 pounds, and that's how I'm helping people all around the world lose weight as well. Once again, this is Fred Cuellar, author of The Buffer Zone Diet. It's time to get our healthy and happy back. One of the most gratifying things every day now is I get a text from people going, Fred, I got my book, or Fred, I've lost 20 pounds, or before and after pictures of people that have lost their weight. God, it's exciting. We all want to make a difference in the world. That's all I've been trying to do. So do that. Send me your pictures. Send me your information. Tell me the meals that you're eating. Reach out to us. Anyway, thank you very much.